Hi, my name is Tim and I'm in Taormina in Sicily.
I'm on a cruise on Cunard's Queen Victoria and we've docked at Messina in Sicily. I'm booked on an excursion to the picturesque hilltop town of Taormina. My first job on leaving the ship is to find the tour bus. We have a lovely Sicilian tour guide joining us on the excursion, and I'm soon on the coach and we're on our way. Messina is Sicily's third largest city, located in the northeast corner of the island, near the Straits of Messina, which separate Sicily from the Italian mainland. The city serves as the main gateway to Sicily and has its own attractions such as the Messina Cathedral, and you can spend the day exploring its history, its streets and its squares if you don't want to book an excursion. Our tour guide said the coach trip from Messina to Taormina would be about an hour and 15 minutes, but luckily it ended up being a bit quicker than that.
From Messina until Taormina, it's more or less 1 hour and 15 minutes.
On the journey, we had lovely views of the coastline as well as travelling through an impressive tunnel. You get to see some of the coastal towns and holiday resorts along the way. Soon we were driving past the picturesque and famous little island of Isola Bella. It sits in the sea at the bottom of Taormina and is connected to the mainland by a thin strip of beach, which often gets covered at high tide. It's often referred to as the Pearl of the Ionian Sea. If you stay in Taormina, you can walk down the hillside or take the cable car. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time on this excursion to visit the island. Next, the coach started climbing the winding roads up the steep hillside, giving us wonderful views of the bay. When we arrived at the drop-off point, we then had to get the lift up to the top. That was it. We'd arrived in Taormina. You walk out into a big open square by the Excelsior Palace Hotel and more spectacular views of the bay below. We booked an excursion which gave us free time to explore the town on our own, but before our guide left us, she walked us all to the main gate in the ancient city wall. I asked her to correctly pronounce the name for me.
So we are in Taormina.
I hope my pronunciation at least comes close. We went through the gate called Port of Messina. As soon as you enter the town, the narrow streets and pretty squares feel full of history and atmosphere. This is the beautiful Piazza Duomo. The Baroque fountain in the piazza dates back to 1635. At the top, there is the figure of a minotaur holding a globe and scepter. At the base, there are mythological ponies, or sometimes described as seahorses. The streets were bustling with people enjoying the shops, cafes, and restaurants. With the sun shining and the blue sky, everywhere looks like a photo opportunity. This was filmed in mid-June and it was about 27 degrees. This friendly chap was enjoying keeping cool on the stone floor. I'm walking along Corso Umberto, which is the main street running through the town, and I'm about to go through Porta di Mezzo, otherwise known as Middlegate. It's a 12th century gate that marks the entrance to the medieval part of Taormina. The clock in the tower was added during repairs in 1679. The gate leads into the lively Piazza 9 Aprile, named after an event on the 9th of April in 1860. Oddly, the date commemorates the day a false rumour started about Garibaldi landing on the island to start Sicily's liberation. Centre stage in the piazza is the Church of San Giuseppe. It's in glorious Baroque style and features a double stone staircase. The facade has a pinkish tone to it due to the various shades of marble used in its construction. Next to the church sits a grand bell tower topped by an octagonal dome. Inside, the walls are richly decorated with Baroque stucco work featuring floral designs and winged angels. From one side of the piazza, there are stunning panoramic views over the Bay of Naxos. And views down to the white sand beach and the turquoise waters below. In one corner of the piazza, you'll find a statue commemorating Oscar Wilde. Oscar visited the town and described it in his writings as a lover's paradise. The statue is also symbolic of the town's welcoming attitude towards artists, writers, and creative freedom. Let's stroll further along the vibrant main street of Corso Umberto. Sicily is well known for its colourful ceramics and glazed majolica pottery. Many of the shops have a big selection of jugs, plates, and the famous vases with the Moorish heads. The vases are called teste de moro and often depict the head of an Arabic man or a Sicilian woman. You'll also see pine cone-shaped ceramics, which in Sicily symbolise prosperity and fertility. Leading off from the main street, you'll see lots of pretty little alleyways. Many of the alleyways have restaurants and bars with tables and chairs perched on the steps. There are lots of great places to stop and have a coffee or a glass of wine and do some people watching. You can't miss all the designer shops and boutiques, and you soon realise that the town has a high-end, glamorous side to it. Not every Mediterranean hilltop town can boast its own Dolce & Gabbana cafe. There are lots of cafes where you can relax with a coffee and a traditional Sicilian cannoli and soak up the atmosphere. There are various market stalls and shops selling local produce, including herbs, pasta sauces, wine, but in particular, everything you can think of relating to Sicilian lemons. Why not buy a bottle of limoncello to have a burst of Sicilian sunshine when you get back home? Gentlemen can even have a wet shave in between the shopping. Continuing further along the main street, eventually I get to a pretty little piazza called Largo Santa Caterina. This is where you'll find the historic church of Santa Caterina de Alessandria. The church is a good example of Sicilian Baroque architecture and was built in the 17th century. It's fascinating to know it was built on the foundations of a Roman theatre, which in itself was built on top of the ruins of a Greek temple. The church has some elements of Baroque grandeur, but overall it's mostly understated and feels like a chapel with a simple single nave, some select artworks, and the key attraction being the serene statue of Saint Caterina. Opposite the church in the piazza, there was a lively restaurant where we decided to stop and have some lunch. There are loads of restaurants to choose from. This one has a great location in the piazza. The food was traditional Italian, which was just what we wanted. The service was good, and it was clearly very popular. After a lovely lunch, walking to the northern end of Corso Umberto, you come to Port of Messina. The stone gate marks another entrance into Taormina's historic town centre. Just beyond the gate, you come to an archaeological site where you can see the ruins of ancient Roman thermal baths. They're perfectly positioned, set against the backdrop of the Church of St. Pancras. One of the most popular sites is the ancient theatre of Taormina. I'm walking along the bustling Via Teatro Greco to get to this important site of historical significance. It's a vibrant street of boutiques and market stalls and colourful bougainvillea. The afternoon heat was too much for one tired local. You have to pay an entrance fee to get into the ancient theatre. When I visited, it was €14 for adults, but obviously may change over time. The theatre was built by the Greeks during the Hellenistic period of the 3rd century BC. It was later rebuilt and expanded by the Romans. It's one of Sicily's historical treasures and offers sweeping views of Mount Etna and the Bay of Naxos. It was time to make my way back, sadly, to the pickup point for the tour bus, but there was still an opportunity to have a look at some of the little hidden gems in the corners and alleyways and the special sites that make Taormina so lovely. What goes up must come down, and it's a slightly hair-raising bus ride along the winding road down, but the views are amazing. The bus was taking us back to Messina to the cruise terminal to rejoin the ship. I highly recommend a trip to Taormina. It's not your typical hilltop town. It's a unique mix of bustling streets and piazzas, churches and sites of historical importance, designer boutiques, and lovely cafes and restaurants, topped off with spectacular views of Mount Etna and the Bay of Naxos. I would love to come back and see it again. We sailed past the statue of the Virgin Mary at the harbour entrance and waved Messina a fond farewell, but hopefully not goodbye.
I've had a wonderful time in Taormina in Sicily. If you've enjoyed my video and would like to see some more of my travels, please click subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching. Goodbye.